Right, well, morning everybody, and I hope that you all had a really good weekend. As you can see from my video, I'm now back in the office at St Dunstan's, which is all very exciting. And not least because today, Monday, marks the start of our gradual return of senior school students back to the college site. So we're really, really excited about that as we start to see year 10 and year 12 come back to school in small groups, focusing in on having contact with their tutor and getting some academic support where that's needed as well. And preparing themselves for end of year exams, which is happening, of course, in those year groups, not in year 7, 8, and 9. So before I go back to any of that, can I just thank all of you for the engagement with our theme last week on identity, which, as you know, was an extremely important theme, not least because of the Black Lives Matter movement, which has been so powerful in how that has gathered such momentum over the course of these last few days and weeks. And I know it's directly involved a lot of you because I've had correspondence with you about it. So thank you for your engagement with that whole week of activities. And thank you also for taking the time to read my statement. I said last week that I would write a statement to all students, both current and former, and I did that and I sent it to you, and I know that lots of you read it. And thank you for your positive feedback on it too. I would say that a lot of our alumni, so those who are no longer students here, were quite shocked by the amount of things that we do now do as a school in terms of our diversity inclusion, things that we didn't used to do, but we do now, and they were very pleased to read it. However, I think all of you were pleased to hear that we are resolved to reflecting on what we do, to accepting the fact that we could definitely do more in this area, and wanting to proactively lead the way. When we compare us against other schools, I think we absolutely should be leading the way in this particular area. So as you will have read, we're setting up a working group in September that will consist of current students and former students and parents and staff, and we're going to create a strategy for how we can make sure that our education, the education here at St Dunstan's, is truly inclusive of the diversity of this community in all its manifestations. So thank you to those of you who already proactively said you want to be a part of that. I look forward very much to taking this incredibly important matter forward with all of you as we move into next academic year. So just a few notices from me this morning. Firstly, to say that all of our exam grades for year 11 and year 13 are now uploaded and in. Mr. Holmes wrote a really good letter to year 11 and year 13 outlining exactly how we have come up with those grades and the really rigorous process that has been undertaken by this school and by your teachers to come up with those grades. So do have a read of that if that affects you. And also in that letter, it signposts to what we're doing with things like results day, which are important and different in the way we're handling them, okay, through remote means. So do, if you're in year 11 and year 13, you're still listening to these assemblies, please do go and have a look at that important letter on exam results. For the rest of you, of course, it won't have escaped your notice that we're trying to balance two priorities. We're both trying to maintain really good remote learning and teaching for you at home, but at the same time, as teachers, we're trying to facilitate your return where that affects you, particularly with year 10 and year 12. That's not easy, but we're doing our very, very best to do it. So just to remind you, year 10 and year 12 will be coming back in over the next couple of weeks in small groups only to focus in really on contact with their tutors, having some academic support, but really that's the limit of their contact. For everybody, the remote learning continues as normal for year 10 all the way through to the end of the year, for year 7, 8, and 9 for this week only before you move on to your enrichment projects, the Festival of Curiosity, which I know you've already heard about. You've had a brochure sent through to you, and we really hope you're going to engage with that programme because it sounds very, very exciting, and we're looking forward to working with you on doing something just a bit different because we're very conscious of the fact that you're not able to come back to the school before the summer. We're also, of course, continuing to look at how we will plan best for September, and we're putting together some documentation for you and your parents so that by the end of this term, you'll have a really clear idea of what we are planning, both over the summer and in September. And just the last couple of bits from me. Prize giving this year, of course, we can't do that in person, which is a real shame because we love prize giving, but we are still giving out prizes. So those who are prize winners who have achieved that will get notification of that over the next couple of weeks. And although we can't give you trophies, I think there's a token coming through that process as well. So prizes will be announced virtually, and book return is happening. So if you're leaving us at the end of this year, for whatever reason, you need to return your books. Otherwise, your parents will be charged for those books. So again, a communication will come to you, to your parents, outlining when you can come to the college to drop them off at reception, and you need to sign those books in so that we know which books you've given back to us, and we don't end up charging you for books that actually you've already signed back in. So please do make sure now, between now and the end of term, that you get all your books back, please. We're casting an eye now to the end of term arrangements, in particular looking at assemblies and that sort of thing. Just to reassure you, we are intending to try and do as much as possible as we would normally. So cups and colours, assembly, our plan is to do one of those assemblies at the end of term. We want to try and finish as much as possible on the high that normally characterises the end of our year, or indeed the end of any term. So that's the end of the notices from me. I hope you have a really, really good week. Well done again, keeping up all the good work, be it remotely or for some of you back here onto the college side.